Hi all, good morning. I hope I'm audible. I hope I'm visible. Kindly confirm the audio and the video. Good morning to all. Where is this going? Screen कैसे change होगा ऐसे? ठीक है. Audio video is perfect. So we will be talking about cyclones. We were talking about tropical cyclones. Any questions, any doubts on that? And we'll be talking about the next cyclone today. And we'll also be looking at the PYQs which have come in the past. So if you have at the beginning of the class any doubts, kindly talk about them. All seems to be good. No doubts on this. पिछले questions देखें कि नहीं देखें? चलिए टेम्परेट साइक्लोन पे बात करते हैं. Let's quickly start with temperate cyclone. अमीषा कुमारी कह रही है रिवीजन करने के बाद भी मुझसे क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं हो रहा है. सो एवरीवन टेल मी वन थिंग. इफ वी टीच यू समथिंग एंड यू आर नॉट एबल टू डू इट तो आपको फिर से पढ़ना पड़ेगा. ट्रू. अभी अमीषा कुमारी का इशू है. सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव. वेयर आर वी? ये क्लाइमेटोलॉजी. लेट्स टेक दिस. Discuss the main features of climatic classification system evolved by Köppen. Here is Amisha Kumari. Here is Amisha Kumari who is saying कि revision करने के बाद भी solve नहीं हो रहा है. Is this a mathematics question? ये बताइए मुझे. Is this a question related to integration, differentiation या rocket science या चाइना का deep sea है? आपको कॉपिन बता दिया. कॉपिन का क्वेश्चन ये है. अमीशा कुमारी जी आप ही से बात हो रही है. Discuss the main features of climatic classification system evolved by Köppen. So discuss means what are the main features? So the main features are temperature and precipitation based classification divided into 5 regions. अमीशा जी अभी बताइए कैसे आप कह रही हैं कि नहीं हो पा रहा है. ये मुझे समझ नहीं आया. सभी लोग अमीशा की भी मदद करते हैं. सर रिवीजन करने के बाद भी मुझसे क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं हो पा रहा है. एवरीवन हाउ कैन यू से दैट? मैंने तो बस ओपन किया, रैंडम ओपन किया, रैंडम ओपन किया अमीशा कुमारी जी. और अमीशा कुमारी जी अगर क्लास रोकने के लिए कर रहे हैं तब गड़बड़ है. देन यू आर डूइंग अ वेरी रॉन्ग थिंग. रिवीजन के बाद भी क्वेश्चन नहीं सॉल्व हो रहा. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन दैट यू नो देयर आर 5 balls in a bag and you have to pull out a ball, and what is the probability of, they are different colored balls, what is the probability of the ball blue coming out of red, green and blue balls if you pull out alternatively. अब अमीशा कुमारी कह रही है प्रीलिम्स का पीवाईक्यू. अमीशा कुमारी अब आप फिर टाइम वेस्ट कर रहे हैं बच्चे, है ना. सो नॉट अ सीरियस डाउट. आर वी ओके विद दैट? अगर आपको पीवाईक्यू नहीं हो रहा रिवीजन के बाद, रिवीजन क्या होता है? दैट मीन्स आपका सिलेबस अभी एग्जॉस्टिव नहीं है और पढ़ी है ना. ऐसे क्लास नहीं रोके. आई रियली थॉट दैट दिस इज अ सीरियस डाउट एंड विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू योर डाउट ऐसा मत करिए. आए क्लास में और बोल रहे हैं कि सर रिवीजन करने के बाद भी नहीं हो रहा. एंड आई एम तो अ बिलीवर ऑफ दिस थिंग दैट स्टूडेंट शुड बी लेड बाय एग्जाम्पल. अभी पेपर खोल दो, क्या दिक्कत है, इसीलिए लाए हैं. सो अमीशा जी प्लीज तैयारी करें, अपना सिलेबस बढ़ाएं, बढ़ाएं, कवरेज ऑफ द एरिया शुड बी इंक्रीज, and then only PYQ will be solved. And PYQ kya? We are not interested only in PYQ, we are interested in what is going to come in the exam. So as I said, all other students, I request you to kindly ask me questions related to geography, what we are doing. इधर उधर की बात करके संवेदनाएं पैदा ना करें बहुत ज़्यादा, उससे कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होगा. Yes, we are in the month of January खत्म हो रहा है. Have I not been talking about this since November? That it's a good time to you start doing your syllabus. Yes. So I have not made any cheating in this. November, December से I've been talking to my students. GS के students भी आप लोग भी. I also gave you some task when we took that 10-day break in that. So New Year का break भी था. And बिल्कुल है सर जीएस में भी. और मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ एवरीवन प्लीज़ वेरी स्पेशल थिंग फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. आई थिंक फर्स्ट वीक और 10th February के पास वी आर स्टार्टिंग Indian geography. So your Indian geography is from optional point of view, and the GS also they will start the same time. So just an announcement that if you are in geography optional, you need not attend that GS thing. But there I am going to make it a very rigorous one by allowing you to have a lot of questionnaires. So आपको क्लास में दे दिए जाएंगे. वी आर लुकिंग एट हमने हिंदी का एक टेलीग्राम ग्रुप क्रिएट कर दिया है जिसमें हम कुछ ब्रॉडकास्ट ग्रुप किया है जिसमें अब सबमिशन नहीं है बट आई कैन ब्रॉडकास्ट. सो डेली असाइनमेंट्स होंगे. डेली असाइनमेंट्स अबाउट इंडियन ज्योग्राफी एंड एमसीक्यू या फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स कीपिंग प्रीलिम्स इन माइंड. वेरी वेरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड प्रीलिम्स ज्योग्राफी रिलेटेड काम कराएंगे. इट विल बी एग्जॉस्टिव. आपको टारगेट्स दिए जाएंगे ये पढ़िए और ये करिए पढ़िए करिए पढ़िए करिए. वेरी वेरी structured way for my GS students also and people who have not taken GS even that's not an issue. If you are in my optional then only you'll get that. और आपको हम डेली पहले बता देंगे ये टारगेट है इतने क्वेश्चंस करने हैं. these will be the questions होंगे आंसर्स भी होंगे. if you have any doubts you can bring them to the class. so ये आपके लिए मैंने सोचा है बट टाइम एज आई सेड ना टाइम थोड़ा सा एक चैलेंज रहता है. So that is there. So my father called me last night. He said कि अभी मैं बहुत recovered feel नहीं कर रहा हूँ. So I said okay dad, let's see. अगर हुआ तो I will drop the class in the morning and I'll take you to the hospital. So early morning, imagine 7 o'clock he gave me a message. I am 90% all right. You take your classes. So I am very clear on this that everyone wants good things to happen and wherever constructive things are happening, they would want to support. So he said, it's okay. And if needed, I'll let you know. And let's not miss our class. So I'm inviting you also. It's a great opportunity. खूब बढ़िया से तैयारी करिए. Don't leave anything unturned. Be it geography, history, polity, economics, environment, सब करो. मजे से करो यार. क्या टेंशन है? अब तक पॉलिटी हो गया कि नहीं हो गया? पॉलिटी खत्म हो गया, हिस्ट्री खत्म हो गया, ज्योग्राफी इन्वायरमेंट मैं ले आता हूँ. ज्योग्राफी इन्वायरमेंट आई स्टार्ट गिविंग यू टास्क्स. प्लीज डू दैट. गेट दैट? हाँ जी. चलिए तो वापस आते हैं. तो डिस्कस द मेन फीचर्स ऑफ क्लाइमेटिक क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टम इवॉल्व बाय कॉपन. ये तो हो गया. पहले ये टेम्परेट पे आते हैं प्लीज. सो इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ फ्रिवलस डाउट मत पूछिए क्लास में ना. इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टाइम. मैं भी अपना टाइम कई चीज़ें छोड़कर इस पर फोकस कर रहा हूँ. आप लोगों को भी आई नो यू आर फोकसिंग अ लॉट ऑन दैट. सो लेट अस बी ट्रू टू आवर बैच एंड लेट अस ट्रीट इट एज आवर बैच. लेट्स नॉट दे सर रिवीजन करके भी क्वेश्चन नहीं सॉल्व हो रहा है. अरे क्वेश्चन नहीं सॉल्व हो रहा, मैथ्स थोड़ी है बच्चे. दिस इज ह्यूमैनिटी, सोशल साइंस. इसको 2 बार और पढ़ना है. अगर आपका एरिया कवर्ड नहीं है तो उस एरिया को कवर करना. सो लेट्स नॉट डिस्ट्रैक्ट फ्रॉम देयर. हाँ जी वापस आते हैं. सो वी आर इनटू टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. ये होता क्या है टेम्परेट साइक्लोन? सो इसके अदर नेम्स मैंने आपको एक होमवर्क दिया था. नेमिंग ऑफ ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन्स. आई होप यू हैव डन दैट होमवर्क. एक नेमिंग दिया था और क्या दिया था? 2 होमवर्क बता दो जो दिए थे. एंड पीपल हु आर डूइंग दैट प्लीज डू दैट. उनको कंप्लीट करते रहो. उनसे क्या इम्पैक्ट होता है समथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट वी आर डन. आई थिंक हैंड आउट सबको मिल गया. हैंड आउट इज ऑल्सो गॉन. सो आरती सेज इम्पैक्ट ऑल्सो. सो इम्पैक्ट वॉज ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग. अच्छा एक और चीज मैं दे रहा हूँ आप लोगों को. वन मोर होमवर्क रिलेटेड टू ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन. वन मोर होमवर्क रिलेटेड टू ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन. ये होमवर्क करिएगा. थोड़ा गूगल करना पड़ेगा इसके लिए. व्हाट इज आर आई ऑफ ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन. बहुत बढ़िया एरिया है. ठीक है. So thank you. Ayush is saying, sir, I have done the homework. I have seen how they are numbered, how the naming is given. Indian Ocean region, all the countries have come together, made a list, and alphabetically those names will be used. Second, I said impacts of a tropical cyclone. Now there's something called as RI of tropical cyclone. RI means rapid intensification. RI stands for rapid intensification. ठीक है. सो क्या हो जाता है कि साइक्लोन इज मूविंग एंड रिमेंबर साइक्लोन इज प्रोग्रेसिवली बिकमिंग स्ट्रॉन्गर स्ट्रॉन्गर स्ट्रॉन्गर. सो स्टॉर्म से फिर साइक्लोन बनता है एंड साइक्लोन कैन ऑल्सो अक्वायर डिग्रीज एंड दे कैन फ्रॉम साइक्लोन दे कैन बिकम सिवियर साइक्लोन एंड देन लाइक सुपर साइक्लोन्स. So RI stands for rapid intensification. So the velocity is going like that and then it is increasing. So RI has a factor that if it is 30 nautical miles per hour, 30 knots की speed अगर 24 घंटे में बढ़ गई, within 24 hours, if a cyclone experience an increase of speed of 30 knots, 30 nautical miles per hour, so that is called rapid intensification. It has been found that with global warming, rapid intensification has become very, very common, and it is very difficult to predict that. So, kal somebody asked, sir, can India Meteorological Department or are we able to predict cyclones? So I said, yes, we can predict cyclones, but the rapid intensification when it will happen or to the extent that it will recurve, that is something which is a little difficult to predict. So rapid intensification is your homework. Please read about it from the internet. Rapid intensification can be a short note. Yes, and this rapid intensification is especially observed in गल्फ ऑफ मेक्सिको में देखा गया, हमारे बे ऑफ बंगाल एंड अरेबियन सी ऑल्सो. सो इफ यू गेट अ केस स्टडी तो आप कोई केस स्टडी भी ले सकते हैं. If you're reading from the internet and you saw that this is a particular cyclone, that cyclone Milton underwent rapid intensification, बस एक लाइन डालनी है, cyclone Milton struck Gulf of Mexico and it went rapid intensification. उसी तरह से you will find the recurving, exceptional recurving of cyclones कैसे हो जाती है. So these are some, I would say, interesting areas. We can get one sentence in prelims also. ये RI word आ गया. RI की कुछ conditions भी हैं. Conditions for RI. And I'm sure people who are studying this, you are enjoying climatology. कुछ तो मजा आ रहा है कि नहीं climatology में? आपके आसपास भी climate दिख रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है? Suddenly गर्मी चली गई थी. Yes, एक वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंस और आ रहा है. आई होप यू बीन कीपिंग इन ट्रैक विद स्काईमेट. सो हल्की सी ठंडक वापस आई है, बट आई एम सरप्राइज द काइंड ऑफ short winter we had. And remember that climate itself, the code for North Indian plains is CWG as per Köppen. C is mesotherm, so we are mesotherm. W is winter dry. So we had winter and a very short winter. And G is we have a winter dry and G is हमारे पास winter में भी थोड़ी सी rain होती गंगा type. So that is there. So keep applying those things. You will really find things happening. Let's come to temperate cyclones. Temperate cyclones के alternate terms देखते हैं. What are the alternate terms that are used? Okay. This is extratropical. Extratropical. This is mid latitude. Cyclones. This is also called as frontal cyclone. And this is also called as the wave cyclone. So, the alternate terms हो गए. Alternate terms. A very important thing which I want right in the beginning is that calling or the term cyclone is a misnomer for this temperate latitude phenomena. Okay, So cyclone is a misnomer for this temperate latitude phenomena. So this is the temperate latitude phenomena. The word cyclone, whenever it comes to our mind, is cyclone is destructive. Yes or no? Cyclone is destructive. It's associated with very, very strong winds, and it's supposed to be very destructive. Strong winds, heavy precipitation, and all those things. So a temperate cyclone is rarely destructive. Temperate cyclone is rarely destructive. The average wind speeds are 50 to 60 kilometer per hour. Precipitation is moderate. Moderate to heavy. ठीक है, इतना ही आता है, इतना ही आता है. Yes, and follows a predictable life cycle, and follows a highly that is why I use the word misnomer. Misnomer का मतलब ये साइक्लोन सुन के हमें एक गलत समझ में आता है, और अंडरस्टैंडिंग बिकम्स लिटिल एरर. तो इसके लिए साइक्लोन यूज ही नहीं होना चाहिए. इनफैक्ट इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ regular part of temperate latitude atmosphere phenomena. It can come all around the year. It can come all around the year. It can come on land as well as water. So, सब कुछ. It's a regular part of this thing, not a hazard, not seen as a hazardous event. ये पहला difference है. One very, very clear difference is that these temperate cyclones are coming, they are normal, they can come on land as well as water. So water surface पर भी है, land surface पर भी है, should not be a problem. So this is what this cyclone is about. Clear everyone? The temperate cyclone. Now how is it formed? So there is a simple understanding and there is a difficult understanding. तो पहले वो करते हैं. Okay. एक और चीज I want to tell you. Highly and well researched phenomena. What I have mentioned here is, everyone, I'm trying to distinguish it. I'm trying to separate it from what a tropical cyclone is. Get that? So tropical cyclone, first of all, is not very well researched or highly researched. नहीं है. क्यों नहीं है? Generally, tropical cyclone hits tropical areas, tropical belts, and tropical belts have generally developing countries, except for US. US में, Gulf of Mexico में, in fact, all that naming of tropical cyclone started in US. So वो वहाँ से है. But otherwise it's impacting African nations, South Asia, Southeast Asia. These are developing nations. इतना पैसा नहीं था, उतनी technology developed नहीं थी. So that is why it was not there. But temperate cyclone was the first one to be understood. First one to be understood because it was impacting US, Canada, and your Western Europe. So this is what we are talking about. So highly and well researched. Second is it was such a regular thing. It was such a regular thing that was happening in their weather that they had to deal with it. It was not an exception. Say for example, cyclone comes to India in certain seasons. Yes or no? So unni seasons mein aayega. So that was there. Third thing is it is highly predictable. As I said, it is precipitation is moderate, 50 to 60 kilometers, and it has a predictable lifestyle. But when it comes to tropical cyclone, as I told you, I'm giving you homework like rapid intensification, their recurving and all that, they are very difficult to predict. इनमें बहुत सारे ट्रॉपिकल वेदर में बहुत सारी डाइवर्सिटी होती है, सो दैट इज वन थिंग विच आई वांट एवरीवन टू अंडरस्टैंड बिफोर आई स्टार्ट विद टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. अब टेम्परेट साइक्लोन का इजी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए हम ये करते हैं कि टेम्परेट साइक्लोन को पढ़ा किसने. सो टेम्परेट साइक्लोन को एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए वी हैव अ पॉपुलर थ्योरी एंड दैट थ्योरी इज कॉल्ड द पोलर फ्रंट थ्योरी. Polar front theory. Who developed this? The people who were impacted by it. Amazing school. This is called the Scandinavian school. Scandinavian School of Meteorology. This includes Norwegians. Yes. And Swedish scientists. I think Tor Bergeron is here. Or Bjorknes and Bjorknes. Bjerknes and Wilhelm and Jacob Bjorknes. So Bjerknes, you would pronounce it as Jerkins. It is not Jerkins, it is Bjorknes. So Wilhelm and Jacob Bjorknes, father and son, both were meteorologists. They have been working on this, and Tor Hagerstrand, and other than that Holston also. So they have been working. Norwegian. इसमें क्या हो गया, एक मिस हो गया. Polar front theory, and if you remember polar front, what is polar front? Polar front, remember I told you mid latitude front. So cyclone, temperate cyclone development happens along polar front. So what is polar front? The frontal zone between polar easterlies, yes, or cold polar air. Let me polar air mass करते हैं. And tropical air mass. Warm air, cold air. True. And when they move into each other's territory, what is created? Yes, shifts north and south with lies in mid latitude 35 to 60 degrees north and south. So, polar front theory says that cyclones, or Norwegian theory says that cyclones, temperate cyclones, are created in the frontal zone between polar air mass and the tropical air mass. Is everyone okay? Now, the full life cycle, the full life cycle of a temperate cyclone has 6 stages from frontogenesis to frontolysis. 6 stages में साइक्लोन बनता है. 6 stages में this cyclone is created from frontogenesis to frontolysis. Is everyone okay? So front कहाँ पर बन रहा है? Front will be formed between the two air masses, the warm and the cold air mass. And what will happen with time? With time, we'll find that the front will develop, will become more pronounced, and in the end, front will die. Do you remember frontogenesis and frontolysis? Do you remember frontogenesis and frontolysis? Polar front theory, this is what we are talking about. So we are going to look at how this thing is going to work, whether it will be, this cyclone will be formed or not. So we are into this polar front theory. Is it okay if I make something like this? Can I say this is half the earth, the northern hemisphere? And if I make this मैंने क्या किया ये मैंने अर्थ बनाया है हेमिस्फीयर्स बनाए हैं आई मेड द हेमिस्फीयर्स इज एवरीवन विद मी ऑन दिस we're going to look at what is going to happen in this. तो पहले क्या है can I say cold air is here and warm air is here. And none of them want to enter into each other's area. एक दूसरे के एरिया में दोनों नहीं आना चाहते. तो कौन सा फ्रंट बनेगा? Two airs are standing next to each other, cold and warm. cold and warm, two airs are standing next to each other. So stationary front banega. Okay. So should I make a stationary front? Can I say this is a stationary front, and the symbol for a stationary front, if you remember, is this. Get that? Two air masses are standing next to each other, cold and warm air mass. In the northern hemisphere, this place is called the polar front. This is the PF. Polar front is there. Both the airs are standing next to each other. Now, for a cyclone, for the word cyclone, what is important? What will characterize or what will signify a cyclone? Cyclone में क्या चीज बहुत यूनिक है other than normal air flow, normal wind flow के मुकाबले क्या है अलग? Ayush is saying rotation of air. So Ayush got it absolutely correct. So now what is happening is there is air which is here. इधर होगा, इधर होगा, इधर होगा. There is wind which is flowing here and there. But there is no turning of the wind, yes or no? Cold air is moving in its space, warm air is moving in its space. There is no moving, there is no turning of the air. Yes or no? There is no turning of the air. Bjokenes and Bjokenes, when they were studying this, they really found that something happens to the polar front and the polar front bends. ये जो polar front है ये ऐसे bend हो जाएगा. Polar front will bend like this. Now tell me, if somebody draws this, so ये किसका diagram होता है? When somebody draws this diagram, what does this diagram remind you of? What does this diagram remind you of? Waves. Waves. Do you understand why this cyclone is called a wave cyclone? इसमें एक wave बन जाएगी. A wave will be created. Now, if the wave was not there, then the line was straight. Yes or no? But now when the wave is there, can you see this warm area जो यहां पर था ये इधर को ऐसे घुस गया. True. And the cold area which was up there is trying to come here. Now tell me everyone, if such a force is being applied, do you think rotational motion will be created? We are looking from the top. This is the map view. Your stationary polar front develops a bend, develops a wave, and because of that wave, the warm air tries to enter that area and cold air. And remember, now it cannot be called as a stationary front, because remember, stationary front means no air is trying to enter. Now stationary front has been replaced by something else. Which front has been created? Who will tell me? Which front has been created now? Your stationary front, the air masses don't move. They just lie next to each other. So Bjokenes and Bjokenes say that this is there. Shilpi कह रही है occluded front. Shilpi, wrong answer. Screen पर आपके सामने. Stationary front has been replaced by something. So cold front at the back and warm front in the front. Very good. So don't we see that this area where warm is trying to enter, this area will become a warm front. और पीछे क्या है? Cold air is trying to enter, cold front. बनेगा कि नहीं बनेगा? Sajida is saying shear front. I have never heard of something called as shear front. मैंने ना पढ़ा है ना पढ़ा है. So can I say a polar front has done what? It has been replaced by, or a part of it. Can I say a part of it? Because ये तो normally रहेगा. जहां पर सीधा है, wherever it is straight, it will be remain the same. इधर same ही रहेगा. इधर it will remain stationary. Get that? इधर तो same ही रहेगा. Everyone, did you understand how a rotation motion has been introduced? Because the air has tried to come into this area. So जहां पर नॉर्मल है एयर उधर नॉर्मल ही रहेगा, बट जहां पर एंटर करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, द वेव हैज बीन क्रिएटेड. गेट दैट? नाउ टेल मी वन थिंग. A sea surface which is like this, what will cause the sea surface to become like this? What will cause a sea surface A to turn into B? What will cause A to turn into B? So winds will cause, okay? And if the wind speed increases, how would sea look like? How would sea look like? If the wind increases, how would sea look like? The amplitude of the waves will change or not? Yes or no? The amplitude will increase. So what happens is, with time, the amplitude will increase. Get that? It will become more wavy. And then what will happen? It will become further wavy. Now tell me, can you see the wave changing? If this is happening, remember meandering? Remember meandering? Remember a process called meandering? In meandering, what happens? Quickly tell me. In meandering, what happens? The river, which was taking a meandering path, suddenly realized that why should I take that meandering path? Why not? Why not? I straight away go like this only and leave that part. Possible or not? Possible, no? Why don't I take the straight path? Why should I go and turn and take a full thing? Remember, an oxbow lake will be cut off. Oxbow lake will be cut off. So now what happens is, the polar front becomes once again straight. So that former one, the one which had got deformed, remember इससे पहले क्या हो गया था? ये deform हो गया था ना? So what happened? The deformed part is gone, and once again polar front has become stationary. ऊपर क्या था? ऊपर warm था, नहीं ऊपर, sorry, my mistake. ऊपर सब कोल्ड था, yes or no? और नीचे सब क्या था? नीचे was all warm. But now, do we see one thing has happened because of this? Some part of cold is here and some part of warm is here. Yes or no? Do we see that the line has, because of this cyclone, because of this wave which was created, some heat part has gone in the polar regions and some polar part has come in the warmer regions. Can I say along the polar front heat exchange has happened? Along the polar front heat exchange has happened. And why was this heat exchange needed anyways? Everyone, why was this heat exchange needed? Why was this heat exchange needed? Why was this heat exchange needed, everyone? Maintain the Earth's heat budget. So along the polar front, this drama keeps on happening. That the polar front, which is a straight line, generally, it gets distorted. And as a result, warm is pulled there and this thing. So this is the stages. These are the stages from a straight stage. Can I say from A, then B, then C, then D, and then A again? Ready for the next one? Ready for the next one? Now I want you to notice something very, very interesting. Something very, very interesting. Please notice, everyone. Because of this, a torque is created and a rotational motion will come. Will a rotational motion come or not? And that rotating motion is your cyclone. Because of that rotation, a cyclone takes birth. So that means every time this cycle happens, it will release one cyclone. Yeah, it's like a baby is coming out of it. That is why they call it wave cyclone. Every wave will give us a cyclone. Oh, so that means the two air masses are there. Whenever a bend comes, it is going to do that. Yes, it is going to do that. एक काम करो. Take a bucket of water and take a stick. Yes. Immerse the stick and turn it. Turn करके निकाल लो. एक eddy बन जाएगा कि नहीं? Will it turn everything or not? फिर उसके बाद the surface will become plain. Again take a spoon or something, a stick, turn it around and move your hand. फिर गोल बनेगा, निकल जाएगा. True. Nature making jalebis in the temperate latitude. So nature comes and एक मिनट, ये सीधी लाइन है, उसको क्या किया, थोड़ा टेढ़ा कर और घुमा दे. There is a straight line. You go and put your finger on this. एक मिनट, let it be a thread. घुमा दिया. It's like you dialed and that's a cyclone. Sir, इसमें कोई वो नहीं है that heat is happening, evaporation is happening, condensation is happening, and then latent heat of condensation. ना कुछ नहीं. Nothing like that. How many of you understood a temperate cyclone? अब ये बन गया. This thing has been created. Jalebi has been created. Now what is there is, remember this belt is what belt is this? This is the westerly belt. Now this jalebi which has been created, this eddy which has been created, westerly will push it from west to east. Is it created on land or water? So it is created in the air. No, it doesn't have to do with land and water. So once it is created, it will start moving with the westerlies. वो वेस्टर्लीज के साथ मूव करता रहेगा. वेस्टर्लीज विल टेक इट ओवर लैंड, ओवर वाटर, ओवर लैंड, ओवर वाटर. Yes or no? And I want to tell you, polar front itself is not fixed at a particular latitude. Remember, with season, sun's heat, just like belts shift. So can I say the temperate cyclones are more towards the pole in the winters and they shift towards the equator during the summers. So generally these are impacting only Europe during the winter. But during summer, when they shift equatorward, some of them reach India, which is called a western disturbance. India तो tropical है ना, but on the edge of temperate भी है. So India में जम्मू कश्मीर, पंजाब, हरियाणा, राजस्थान, इस एरिया को वो आकर impact करेगा. तो वो है क्या? Those are temperate cyclones which were created somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea. They would not have traveled all the way to India, but what happened was, because the belt has shifted down and the westerlies are also coming. Remember the westerlies, we saw the classification CS type. CS The Mediterranean type winter rain. Winter rain is because of the westerlies. They come under the influence of westerlies. Now, when they come under the influence of westerlies, that's okay. But the cyclones which are created over there, they are also transported by westerlies to us. Everyone, did you understand or not? Polar front theory. किसने दिया? The Scandinavian scholars. ब्योकनेस एंड ब्योकनेस, उन्होंने कहा भाई ऐसे ये बेंड बनता है, इस बेंड को उन्होंने कहा किंक. किंक इज फॉर्म्ड एंड एज अ रिजल्ट दिस इज देयर. सबको समझ आया या नहीं आया? इसमें वो सारे डायग्राम बनाने की जरूरत नहीं, बस इतना करेंगे. अगर आपने बना दिया एग्जाम में सो ही नोज. क्या हमने बुकलेट में आपको मटेरियल दिया? मैंने मटेरियल भी दिया है जी. क्या मटेरियल दिया आपको? इजी. हमने स्टार्ट टेम्परेट से किया. So this is a cyclone. How does it look like? It looks like this. Can you see the wave? Can you see the wave? Can you see this part? The symbol is of cold. This part, the symbol is of warm. And this part, the symbol is of stationary. Can you see that? The symbols also have changed. Stationary front, cold front, warm front. And where that wave is breaking, that part is occluded front. Occlusion भी होता है. तो ऑक्लूजन कैसे होता है वो बता रहा हूं, बट अभी तो आपको साइक्लोन बताया. साइक्लोन कहां पर होगा? यहां पर जलेबी इज घूम रही है, तो लोवेस्ट प्रेशर कहां पर होगा? एवरीवन, वेयर विल बी द लोवेस्ट प्रेशर? दिस इज द प्लेस वेयर देयर विल बी द लोवेस्ट प्रेशर. एंड द इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज व्हेन इट इज रोटेटिंग इट इज गोइंग अप. सो ये बाहर आ रहा है, स्क्रीन के बाहर आ जाता है. सो द एयर विच वाज सपोज टू गो हियर इज लिफ्टेड एंड गोइंग अप. सो यहां पर कितना हो जाएगा? प्रोबेबली यहां पर हो गया 990. And as I go out, can you see 993, 996, 999, 1000, 2005? So can I say lowest pressure is here? And what is the cyclone? A center of low pressure. Get that? Cyclone के isobars कैसे बनते हैं? Cyclone isobars are like this. This is how a tropical cyclone isobars are. And in the center, what do we have? We have an eye. In this cyclone, first of all, we don't have a eye. इसमें कोई आंख नहीं होती है, बस ऐसे घूमता है. एंड सेकेंड इज द शेप इज नो लॉन्गर सर्कुलर, द शेप इज दिस. क्या शेप बोलोगे इसको? ओवल शेप. If somebody asks you the difference between two cyclones in the structure also, can you see the shape is different? सर वो लो प्रेशर कहाँ है? लो प्रेशर इधर है. दिस इज द लो प्रेशर. व्हाई? बिकॉज ये दो फ्रंट हैं इधर. विद आई, विदाउट आई. इसकी एक आंख है, ये बेचारा अंधा है. ठीक है. ये क्या है? ये आंख वाला नहीं, ये काना है, बिकॉज एक ही आंख है ना, दो नहीं है. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. First of all, a very, very simple thing which I had to explain the difference between them. Tropical cyclone is a cyclone which is created because of the heat, evaporation, convective instability, and the latent heat of condensation. Temperate cyclone is created just because of the fronts. And what are fronts? Fronts are difference in temperature. Fronts are difference in temperature. So as long as the temperature difference between two air masses remain, they are going to be the fuel for a temperate cyclone. And when is the temperature difference lost? That is called occlusion. Occlusion होते ही काम खत्म हो जाएगा. Everyone okay? क्या लिखना है वो हमने इसमें बहुत अच्छे से दिया आपको. You can write from there. The 6 stages. Can you identify the 6 stages, everyone? First stage, front develops. Second stage, can you see this? What has developed here? Wave. थर्ड स्टेज वेव डीपन्स, फोर्थ स्टेज और डीप होगा लेकिन ऑक्लूजन होना शुरू हो जाएगा. And can you see this diagram is a beautiful diagram because what I made was only on the surface. ये 3D diagram है. You can see the upper atmosphere also. Can you see warm air always tries to climb the cold air. So यहाँ पर पूरा bend बनेगा, bend will deepen and you can see as the air is moving will the clouds form or not? When the warm air is trying to move the clouds will form and the cold air also. Yes. So clouds होगा और फिर ये ज़्यादा होगा तो can you see this? इतना ज़्यादा हुआ, meandering का stage आ गया. Will it take a straight cut? It took a straight cut and the job is done. Everyone with me on this? Sir, what happened to the air? So generally क्या हुआ, वो जो warm air था वो ऊपर चला गया. So can you see the warm air has been uplifted and the cold air stays at the ground. And in the process, can you see heat exchange has happened? Heat exchange has happened. This is the stage. If you want, if you're finding it difficult, Norwegian formulated this theory during World War I, that this theory, temperate cyclones develop in conjunction with polar fronts. During cool months, polar fronts generally well defined and form nearly continuous band on the earth. So normally it's a continuous band. Along these frontal zones, cold equatorward moving air collides with air collides. The cold air will collide with the warm air. The polar front theory was postulated by a Scandinavian school. अ की जगह द होना चाहिए था लेकिन मैंने शायद अ छोड़ दिया होगा. द स्कैंडिनेवियन स्कूल किस किसने दिया है? स्कैंडिनेवियन स्कूल जो मीटरोलॉजिस्ट हैं इसमें आपने देखा विलहेल्म एंड जेकब ब्योकनेस, हेल्वर सोलबर्ग और बर्जन यूनिवर्सिटी के हैं ये दोनों. बर्जन यूनिवर्सिटी इज इन नॉर्वे एंड देन स्वीडिश मीटियोरोलॉजिस्ट टॉर बर्जेरॉन जॉइंड दिस एंड इन लोगों ने स्टेजेस दिए हैं. इधर 5 डेवलपमेंट स्टेजेस दिए हैं, मैंने 6 कहा है, बुरा मत मानना. आई वॉज लुकिंग एट अ गुड डायग्राम, ठीक है, वो मुझे मिल नहीं रहा था. स्टेजेस तो 6 हैं तो मैंने एक मीटरोलॉजी की साइट में देखा उसमें 5 लिखे थे तो मैंने 5 कर दिया. 5 में क्या होगा, वो फर्स्ट स्टेज जो है ना, फर्स्ट स्टेज को काउंट नहीं कर रहे हैं इसलिए वो 5 आ रहा है. बट वी विल राइट दिस 6 स्टेजेस. ये मैंने ही किया है तो बुरा मत मानना इसको. आई वॉज फॉर द वॉन्ट ऑफ अ गुड डायग्राम, तो मुझे ये जो डायग्राम मिला इसने 5 में किया हुआ था. सो दैट इज वाई एंड आई वॉन्टेड माई स्टूडेंट्स टू गेट गुड डायग्राम्स, इसलिए मैंने इसको मान लिया. एंड देन आई थॉट मैं ही तो पढ़ा रहा हूँ, my material I am teaching, I'll get all the opportunity to explain. So that is the problem. That is the problem. When students just take PDF from internet or whatever coaching institutes and notes, they think यार एक जगह 6 लिखा है एक जगह 5 लिखा है, which one is correct? True. मैं तो पढ़ा रहा हूँ. I told you what was my problem. My problem was जिस थ्योरी में अच्छे डायग्राम थे उसने उसको 5 काउंट किया है, जिसमें अच्छे नहीं थे उसमें 6 है, तो मेरी तरफ से 6 है. प्लीज डू दैट. 6 आई हैव शोन यू 6 आल्सो. 6 के डायग्राम्स. नाउ एवरीवन 6 के डायग्राम में क्या प्रॉब्लम है? ये तो 6 है ही आपके पास. 6 के डायग्राम बनाने मुश्किल है. इन द एग्जाम मेकिंग दिस वाज डिफिकल्ट. गेट दैट? सो प्लीज डू नॉट बी कंफ्यूज. अरे सचिन सर वहां 6 लिखा है 5, ये वाला डायग्राम है. यू कैन यूज दीज 6 ऑल्सो. 1 2 3 4. अगर आप 1 को नहीं काउंट करेंगे तो अपने आप हो जाएगा. सो अननेसेसरली इसको वो मत लेना. पहला स्टेज, डिड एवरीवन अंडरस्टैंड? फर्स्ट स्टेज इज स्ट्रेट. सेकंड स्टेज, व्हाट इज क्रिएटेड? अ वेव इज क्रिएटेड. व्हाई अ वेव विल बी क्रिएटेड? भाई कोई लो प्रेशर होगा तभी तो एक लो बन गया, लो की वजह से हो गया. वेव स्टेज, इट मीन्स फ्रंट हैज बीन प्रेशराइज टू मूव लो लैटिट्यूड. ये कोल्ड एयर इधर को हो गया, वार्म एयर उधर को हो गया, थोड़ा सा एक लो प्रेशर क्रिएट हुआ. वेव के स्टेजेस है 1 2 3 और 4. तो ये मुझे 5 जो दिख रहा था अब ये वेव बन गया. कोल्ड फ्रंट, वार्म फ्रंट, CF WF. कैन यू सी दिस इज फॉर्मिंग लाइक दिस और यहां पर ऑक्लूजन हो गया एंड दिस इज व्हाट द डिसिपिएशन इज. फाइनली इट विल बिकम स्ट्रेट. इंटेंसिफिकेशन You can see what is happening during the intensification, that also the diagram is there. And then you can see I've made the wave like this. So इस सब को काट कर, cutting all this, dissipation stage आएगा ये, cutting all this which is in the book, you have the advantage of this one. Is this good or not? ये आपने खुद से बना लिया कि नहीं? So if I read out the slide to you and then say draw it, then that's a problem. But I have drawn it for you, and the write-up is also there. सब बढ़िया है. समझ में आया कि नहीं आया? Initial stage, wave stage, yes, deepening, mature stage, occlusion happens, and what is this? Dissipation. हर एक स्टेज के साथ एक एक लाइन लिख देंगे. सो कैन आई गिव यू होमवर्क? यूज हैंड आउट टू describe each stage in 2 to 3 sentences. दीपक कह रहा माई क्लास स्टार्टेड 15 minutes late and I get advertisement every 2 minutes. ऐसा है क्या? Others, are you getting advertisement? ऐसा तो नहीं आना चाहिए लाइव क्लास में. दीपक कहाँ देख रहे हो? तुम्हारे ऐप में किसी का नहीं आ रहा ऐड? कोई अपना पायरेटेड चला रहा है क्या? तुमने केजीएस में एडमिशन लिया या? सो मेनी पीपल नो, आई हैव नेवर गॉट दिस कि सर ऐड आते हैं बीच में. दीपक आप बताओ आप कौन से उस पर लॉगिन किए हो सकता है आपको बोला हो सचिन सर के कोर्सेज हमारे यहाँ पर पढ़ाए जाते हैं और हमारे यूट्यूब के क्लासेस आपके में डाल दिए. इंटरनेट पे चीज़ों का, डेटा का सिक्योरिटी एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स इज़ अ चैलेंज. बट देन एज वी सेड कि यार आए हैं बच्चों को ज्योग्राफी में इजी करना लाइफ. जहाँ तक पहुँच रहा है अच्छी बात है. किसी को कोई ऐड नहीं आया बच्चे? तो अभी क्लास चलने दो, ये बीच में ऐड वाला मत लेकर आया करो. कोई ना कोई कुछ भी लेकर आ जाता है. डिड वी अंडरस्टैंड साइक्लोन और नॉट? टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. ओके प्लीज राइट डाउन. हाँ जी. तो इसको हम क्या करेंगे, ये तो आपके लिए हो गया, सब चीज़ों के लिए है. इसको मैं थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ सो दैट वी कैन राइट डाउन. ये मैंने एक और डाला है, शेपेरो काइजर साइक्लोन इवोल्यूशन मॉडल. Shapiro Kaiser developed a new lifestyle model as representative of marine cyclones and based it on the results of idealized developing biroclinic wave simulation. The lifestyle model is still a conceptual model and not fully developed. So मेरा काम है ऐसी चीज़ें भी आपको बता देना, वो भी मैं बताता हूँ. ठीक है. So we can start with अपना temperate cyclone. प्लीज आई डाउन. और उसके लिए जगह छोड़ देना. आई थिंक 1 page शुड बी इनफ. 1 page for the stages. 1 page for the stages. Please write down a temperate cyclone. A temperate cyclone its evolution, a temperate cycle loan, its evolution and life cycle must be seen thermodynamically, must be seen thermodynamically as a process of heat exchange, heat exchange between lower and higher latitudes, lower and higher latitude, to maintain the heat budget across latitudes. Yes. The heat transfer is frontal in nature. Is frontal in nature. Thus, Bergeron used the terms frontogenesis and frontolysis to mark the beginning and end of this heat exchange between thermally contrasting air masses. Is everyone okay? So ये एक पहले आपको बताया कि साइक्लोन होता क्या है. साइक्लोन इज एक्चुअली दैट हीट एक्सचेंज एंड इसमें द प्रोसेस इज that two thermally contrasting air masses will come close to each other. Yes. इधर क्या टेम्परेचर होगा जल्दी बताओ. What should be the temperature along green line? नीतीश बोला कांस्टेंट. अबे वैल्यू बताओ. कांस्टेंट वैल्यू बताओ. जिसने फ्रंट पढ़ा है क्या होगा? तो ट्रांजिशनल टेम्परेचर होगा ना, 10 और 20 के बीच का होगा, 10 और 20 के बीच का, 10 और 30 के बीच का होगा, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 20 मान लें। विच फ्रंट इज दिस? यस, ट्रू। अब if the cold air, if the cold air tries to come into the warm one, अगर कोल्ड वाला वार्म में घुसने की कोशिश कर रहा है, if the cold air is trying to push and enter warm and the warm is trying to push, what will happen to this frontal zone? What will happen to this frontal zone? अभी तो normal तो frontal zone is this wide. What will happen? What will happen? जल्दी बताओ। अभी तो इट इज हॉरिजॉन्टल, इट इज लाइक दिस ओनली, स्ट्रेट लाइन है, स्ट्रेट लाइन है, बट उससे क्या होगा? पुश से। सर ये श्रिंक भी हो जाएगा और बेंड भी हो जाएगा, पॉसिबल और नॉट? एवरीवन थिंक अबाउट इट। व्हाट विल हैपन टू दिस जोन? सर ये ऐसा था ना, ऐसा था, अब ये कैसा हो जाएगा? थोड़ा श्रिंक हो जाएगा। विल इट श्रिंक और नॉट? विल इट श्रिंक? Because both of them are trying to shrink. And can it bend also? True. बेंड हो जाएगा कि नहीं? जी सर ये तो बेंड भी हो जाएगा। व्हाट इज दिस? और इधर क्या बन गया? विच फ्रंट वॉज क्रिएटेड हेयर? द कोल्ड फ्रंट इज क्रिएटेड हेयर। एंड व्हाट इज दिस? वार्म फ्रंट इज क्रिएटेड हेयर। ट्रू और नॉट? श्रिंकिंग भी हो रहा है, बेंडिंग भी हो रहा है। So what is getting bent? If I ask you what is getting bent, क्या मुड़ गया? What got bent because of that air trying to and that wave getting formed? What got bent? क्या मुड़ गया? What was the thing that got bent? Cold air mass got bent? No, that too moved into that area. What is it that got bent? That was straight and now it has got bent. Air masses too are moving into each other's territory. So the transition zone got bent, the frontal line got bent. Yes, yes, yes. So this is called, that line is called, that is a technical name, and that line is called the axis of dilation. The line along which deformation of the airflow is causing the maximum stretching of air parcels. That is called the axis of dilation. समझ में आया? अब ये बुक में नहीं लिखा हुआ भाई। दिस इज एक्सिस, ये एक्सिस है ना, axis of dilation. Okay, so can I say everyone, this is the axis of dilation. एक्सिस पर टेम्परेचर T है, इधर T -10 and इधर T +10. Can you see these are isotherms? and axis of dilation parallel to isotherm. सर isotherm समझ में नहीं आए, ये ना 20 degrees, 20 degrees. What is the temperature उधर? 20 minus 10, 10 degrees. इधर 20 plus 10. Everyone with me on this? So actually frontogenesis and frontolysis involve isotherms coming closer and going away. Yes or no? सर ये समझ में नहीं आया. See, isotherms lines are there. So what is at axis of dilation? 20 degrees. Which उसके ऊपर वाला isotherm कितना होगा? 20 minus 10. Yes, so it is 10 degrees. और इधर क्या है? 20 plus 10, 30 degrees. इधर क्या हो सकता है? Maybe 20 plus 20 हो जाए. हो सकता है इधर 40 डिग्री का isotherm हो सकता है इधर का 0 degree का isotherm हो. Possible or not? I'm just saying, you know. So when frontogenesis is happening, then what is happening? Isotherms are coming closer. Whenever isotherms are coming closer, that means, you know, air masses are coming close to each other. And whenever they're going away, means they are, the front or the air contrast is removing. Do we get that? ये सब भी मैंने कुछ आपके लिए डाल दिया so that you can understand what is happening during this whole process. Now this is a little meteorological. I should not have talked about it, but the examiner is causing trouble for me. That is why I'm doing that. यहाँ तक clear है कि नहीं सब लोग? Is everyone okay with temperate cyclone is a heat exchange mechanism? It belongs to the process is frontogenesis and frontolysis. Frontogenesis means isotherms coming closer together, and frontolysis means same isotherms but now they are getting wider spaced. Everyone okay? So ये आपके लिए हुआ. Please write down. वहां पर आपने पेज छोड़ दिया होगा. As per the Norwegian polar front theory. Please write down as per the Norwegian polar front theory. As per the Norwegian polar front theory, as per the Norwegian polar front theory, temperate cyclone begins or gets initiated as a stationary front along the polar front. Stationary front along the polar front. Under certain suitable conditions, a kink is developed, or bend is developed, causing the front to acquire a wave form. So everyone on the screen, this is a very beautiful way of depicting how a cyclone is created. You can see पहले एकदम ये है straight. a kink is formed, a waveform is created leading to circulatory motion and a central low pressure. Cyclone is born. जैसे ये किंक आएगा तो साइक्लोन इज बॉर्न. ठीक है. This waveform deepens and matures further. This waveform deepens and matures further through the process of deepens and matures further through the process of creation of through the process of creation of two fronts. Through the process of creation of two fronts, a cold front and a warm front. Cold front and a warm front between three air masses. Between three air masses. अभी three air masses कहां पर है? अब मैं यहां पर आ गया हूं. So air mass number 1, air mass number 2 and air mass number 3. Can you see that? See, तो वही air mass है but इधर से ये घुस रहे. Because here the cold one is entering, so this is the cold front, and here the warm one. Remember, the warm is entering, so that is why it's a warm front. दो front है, तीन air masses हैं. Is everyone okay? Can you see the three air masses which I have written for you? और वहां पर लो प्रेशर चल रहा है. Get that? Please write down further. The cold air mass, when I was teaching you, the cold front, don't write air mass, front. When I was teaching you the front, I told you which front moves faster on ground. Cold air mass. Cold front. The cold front moves faster on ground. The cold front moves faster on ground and progressively displaces the warm air. Cold front moves faster on ground and progressively displaces the warm air to catch up with the warm front. This is where the occlusion begins. This is where the occlusion begins and the cyclone moves towards maturity. The displaced warm air rises in a circulatory spiraling manner. and a circulating spiraling manner with the warm and cold front with the warm and cold front on either side. So यहाँ पर the air is the circulation is happening, the air is rising at number 2 and it has on either side two fronts are there. One side is warm front, other side is the cold front. So which one is ahead and which one is behind? Which one is ahead and which one is behind? क्योंकि वो जो हवा बीच में उठ रही है that is going around also. Which one is ahead and which one is behind? Which one is ahead and which one is behind? बीच में जो air है which is rising up. So warm front is ahead and cold front is coming from behind. Very good. True. Acha, what will be the weather at warm front? Or if somebody asks you what is the weather of the cyclone? Well, cyclone is made up of this thing, no? Warm and cold front. So ahead of it, the climate will be, the weather will be associated with warm front. Remember warm front, gentle slope, spread out, rainfall. Yes, minor rainfall. ये इधर हो गया. And cold front जो पीछे से आ रहा है, remember vertical clouds, these are coming from behind. Do we get that? So cyclone ka weather, this cyclone's weather is not a particular weather, it's a mix of both the weathers. On the ahead, we will have the features of that gentle sloping warm front, and behind we will have the features of weather associated with a steeply sloping cold front. वहां पर नैरो एरिया में वेरी हैवी प्रेसिपिटेशन कम्स. यस, पीछे से ठंडा आ रहा है, टेम्परेचर कूल करेगा, ये आगे वाला अलग करेगा. सो दैट्स व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. इज एवरीवन okay with that? So wherever we ended, I don't remember where we ended. Can you put that now a bracket with their own characteristic frontal weathers? वहां पे हमने लिखा है ना, lies between two fronts. Yes, in bracket with their associated characteristic frontal weathers, weather conditions, with their characteristic या with their associated characteristic frontal weather conditions. अगर कोई आपसे पूछता है what is the weather associated with a temperate cyclone, you can say it is not one thing, no, it is तो पूरा का पूरा होता है. That is what we are talking about. Yes, please write down further. So occlusion begins, वो भी हमने लिख दिया. Occlusion begins, occlusion begin हो गया है. So who is catching up? The cold air is moving faster. So you can see the gap. Can you see the gap is reducing? Can you see the gap is reducing? Everyone, I want you to see this black line. The black line. This is B1. This is B2. This is B3. Can you see the black line is shrinking? Black line is shrinking. What does it tell us? If the black line is shrinking, what is happening? So the cold front is moving faster and it is eating up the warm air. Warm air को ऊपर भेज रहा है. And can you see that warm front which was so long has been replaced by which front? Occluded front. Yes or no? तो हमने लिखा occlusion begins. पिछले में लिखा था, यहां क्या लिखा? Occlusion begins. यहां पर होगा occlusion continues and the warm front or the warm air mass is totally lifted up. तो warm front हट जाएगा. True or not? Please write down. Progressively, the occluded front will expand. Occluded front will expand at the cost of the warm front. So warm front eaten up हो रहा है and it is getting replaced by the this thing at the cost of the warm front. Eventually at the cost of the warm front, full stop, eventually the warm air will be completely lifted off the ground. Eventually the warm air will be completely lifted off the ground. Is completely lifted off the ground. Eventually the warm air is completely lifted off the ground. That is where the occlusion comes to an end. That is where occlusion comes to an end. Occlusion comes to an end. ठीक है. Occlusion comes to an end and the cyclone dissipates. And the cyclone dissipates, marking the end of the life cycle, marking the end of the life cycle, marking the end of the life cycle, and the associated latitudinal heat exchange, and the associated latitudinal heat exchange. Thereafter, a new cycle may begin. Thereafter, a new cycle may begin, leading to another temperate cyclone. Leading to another temperate cyclone. Get that? उसके बाद लिखेंगे properties of a temperate cyclone. Characteristic properties of a temperate cyclone. Next heading is characteristic properties of a temperate cyclone. लिख दिया कैरेक्टरिस्टिक प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. ब्रैकेट में लिखेंगे रीड फ्रॉम स्टडी मटेरियल. ये 13 यहाँ पे लिख के दे दिया. टेम्परेट साइक्लोन इज मच लार्जर 1000 to 3000 kilometers in diameter. Remember that was what 40 kilometers तक आई था. उसके बाद आई वॉल कितना था नेक्स्ट 40-50 kilometers. सो 100 kilometers हो गया. फिर उसके बाद का थोड़ा बहुत एरिया. सो मे बी 100 200 250 kilometers. ये कितना है 1000 to 3000 kilometers and vertically it extends up to the tropopause. Temperate cyclones forms in the mid latitude. Temperate cyclone form in the mid latitude temperate zones. They are formed both over land and sea. Temperate cyclones are produced largely in winter. Why in winter? the temperature contrast is more. In winter, the temperature contrast between cyclones is more. Then temperate cyclones form under baroclinic atmospheric conditions. The temperate cyclones form only where there is sharp increase in westerly wind with height. Because of the geostrophic relation, this implies that there must be strong temperature gradient at ground level. ठीक है, टेम्परेट साइक्लोन शो ग्रेटर. अब ये बैरो क्लिनिक क्या होता है इसको अभी छोड़ देंगे, पॉइंट नंबर 5 छोड़ते हैं. Temperate cyclones show greater regularity in their formation year after year, so their life cycle is very regular and productive. Temperate cyclone derive their energy from temperature contrast, not the latent heat. Isobars of temperate cyclones are generally V-shaped. Generally V-shaped weather pattern is discontinuous. They have a relatively low pressure gradient, so their pressure gradient is much lower. Remember 990, 993, 996, 999 and 102 or 1002. So कितना है, 12 से 15 मिलीबार का gradient is there. उधर we saw 50, 60. Yes or no? So that's what we are talking about. और remember tornado में कितना होता है, 200 मिलीबार. So इधर 15, 20, 30. उधर कितना है, 50 से 70. 50 to 70 millibar difference is there in a tropical cyclone, and in a tornado it can be 100 to 200. The mean wind speed is just 10 to 20 meters per second. Direction of the wind is rapidly changing, veering and backing. You don't have to bother about that. Rainfall is slow. Can I say rather than slow, we can say will depend upon which side of the front you are, which front you are in, and the path of the temperate cyclones are determined by the westerlies. कर लेंगे, बैरोक्लाइनल पे अभी आते हैं. So characteristic properties of I expect a question, a short note on that. Refer to study material. I also expect another question which will use this idea. Differentiate between tropical and temperate cyclones. I want you to quickly do a brainstorming now that I have told you both of them. So let's see how many of you are able to brainstorm. जल्दी से brainstorming करेंगे. Temperate cyclone, brainstorming, you have 1 minute. Let's see what you give to me. When we brainstorm, don't type, brainstorm. Let us see how many points you got. Don't type, please tell me how many points you got. Everyone, it is not about how many points you will write. It is about how many dimensions you can powerfully present to the examiner. So first one is the location. If you're talking about the location of this one, so location is in this, when we are talking about this, the location is mid latitudes, polar front, land and water. True. For this, the thing is tropical and subtropical 5 degrees to 27 degrees north and south. Yes or no? Only on water. Now tell me, will I be able to give a mature point? So should we write by drawing these lines and like this? I would not suggest that, because एग्जाम में हमें शीट जो मिलती है ना वो A4 शीट है, वर्टिकल है, उसमें बहुत अच्छा लगता नहीं. दिस कम्स अक्रॉस एज स्कूल किड. Imagine if you write one paragraph with the heading location and site. Location and site. तो better होगा या नहीं होगा? You can, in your notes, you can do like this, no problem. बट एग्जाम में जब आप लिखेंगे आपका पेज इतना छोटा सा होता है. पहला तो पेज ऐसा होता है, पेज में मार्जिन भी होता है, अब उसमें आप लिख रहे हो, आपको जगह ही नहीं मिलती है. यू डोंट गेट मच स्पेस. स्ट्रेट अवे क्या दिया? हेडिंग दिया ना, लोकेशन एंड साइट. सो व्हाट इज द फ्यूल फॉर दिस साइक्लोन? What is the fuel for this cyclone? The fuel for this cyclone is temperature contrast. Temperature contrast between air mass. So what do we get? We get a winter maxima. What do I mean by winter maxima? In winter, there is maximum thermal contrast. In this, what we are looking at? Latent heat of condensation. So condensation requires more evaporation. More evaporation happens in which season? Winter or summer? Summer maxima. Can you see I am using very specific language? I am using very specific language. And am I giving geographical aspects? So time उधर waste नहीं करना, उसका geographical aspect देंगे. Third, what is there in third? Low intensity, regular and predictable frequency. Remember, regular means throughout the year. Throughout the year. When I means regular means throughout the year. Here what is there? Very high intensity. Very high intensity. Highly irregular and unpredictable. काजल इज सेइंग प्री कंडीशंस मेंशन करते हैं. काजल मैंने जगह रखी है सबके लिए, उसके लिए भी एक पॉइंट है ना. यू आर गोइंग टू राइट अ मैच्योर आंसर. फिर वो जैसे क्लास के स्टार्ट में किसी ने कहा ना सर रिवाइज कर लिया, आंसर राइटिंग नहीं आता. पहले बता रहा हूँ क्लास में when I do the topic, I do create questions also for you people to think and link and practice. And I'm saying in the exam also, please rather than making this table, give the heading location and site, fuel of the cyclone, intensity and frequency. Give that, खूब बढ़िया लगेगा. चाहो तो डायग्राम भी बना देना. Do we get that? ऐसा नहीं है जो आपको आता है उसको जबरदस्ती कर रहे हैं, बट वी कैन कीप इट. फोर्थ, एंड टेल मी इफ यू हैव दीज हेडिंग्स रेडी, तो आपको डायरेक्शन भी मिलता है कि नहीं मिलता है. एसोसिएटेड वेदर, frontal weather, cold and warm front specific weather, a mix of the two. Yes or no? सो कोल्ड और वार्म फ्रंट का वेदर होता है यहाँ पर, एक तरफ कोल्ड होगा और उनका मिक्स होता है. दिस इज एन एक्सट्रीम वेदर इवेंट्स. Not an extreme. This is not extreme. This is moderate weather conditions. Not extreme. It is moderate. Very strong winds. Very strong winds. Heavy precipitation. Thunder. Lightning. Storm surge. ये सब आपको होमवर्क दिया था इम्पैक्ट में, एंड आई डिड मेंशन दैट वी कैन डू दैट. ह्यूज डैमेज, खूब डैमेज करेगा कि नहीं? डैमेज करेगा. डायरेक्शन, इसमें एक और चीज लिख सकते हैं, रेगुलर पार्ट ऑफ टेम्परेट weather. Remember I told you that it should not be called a cyclone. तो वो इसका डायरेक्शन क्या है? इसका डायरेक्शन इज westerly driven, westerly driven west to east with recurve. Yes. What is this? Easterly driven. East to west with recurve. Everyone, do we get that? And you can very well show them in this part. You should make a map. Show using a world map. Tracks of cyclones. Have we already done that? Map भी बनेगा. Archit is saying, sir, I tried headings, diagrams, techniques in university exam. I'm sure results will also be good. Everyone, you can see that this is what we are doing. Meteorological aspect की बात करें. Sixth, frontal dynamics. सेवंथ, और अच्छा इसमें एक सेवंथ ये भी लिखना, स्ट्रक्चर थ्रू डायग्राम्स. सो स्ट्रक्चर वाला you have to do it through diagrams. Can you make that circular one and the oval one? कर सकते? तो वो करना है. ओके. हाँ, इसमें फ्रंटल डायनामिक्स इज देयर, और उसके बाद क्या है? बैरोक्लिनिटी एंड फ्रंटल डायनेमिक्स, बैरोक्लिनिटी, अच्छा फ्रंटल डायनेमिक्स पे यहाँ पर लिखेंगे पोलर फ्रंट थ्योरी, और इधर हमने बैरोक्लिनिटी एंड एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन. Either meteorological aspect, sixth will be the five preconditions, of this thing, and then stages from depression to storm to cyclone. And seventh is diagram, horizontal and vertical structure. In this diagram will be oval cyclone. सर ये ओवल कैसे बनता है? ऐसे बनता है. रिमेंबर दिस. और इसका मैंने कल अच्छे से डायग्राम बनाया. गुड आंसर, गुड नोट्स. रिवाइज करना 1 पेज. कैन यू रिवाइज इट just before main examination? You have to see that is it a good powerful place to memorize. ऐसे नोट्स बनते हैं, बट इन द आंसर ऐसा नहीं बना के आना. ये नोट्स के लिए ठीक है. 7 पॉइंट्स. डिफरेंशिएट भी है, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स भी है. एवरीवन कंफर्टेबल? सर बैरोक्लिनिटी और एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन नहीं बताया. बता देंगे, अभी ब्रेक ले लेते, पहले इतना डाइजेस्ट कर लो. So it's 11:54. Please complete it. 12 o'clock we'll meet. 12 o'clock पे शुरू करते हैं. ब्रेक लेते हैं. Everyone, are we back? Am I audible? Am I audible? Temperate cyclone, easier than tropical? ये दोनों अलग अलग हैं. जीएस वालों को बेचारों को टेंशन रहती है, ऑप्शनल वालों को आना चाहिए. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. आर यू विद मी ऑन दिस? ठीक है, ये हमने कर लिया. प्री कंडीशंस वी आर डन. स्टेजेस, डिप्रेशन, स्टॉर्म, साइक्लोन, डायग्राम, हॉरिजॉन्टल, वर्टिकल, यू ऑलरेडी नो दैट. पीपल हु डू नॉट रिमेंबर फ्रॉम यस्टरडे, आई एम सेइंग प्लीज डू नॉट जस्ट कंप्लीट द क्लासेस. ऑल्सो जो क्लास में हो जाता है उसको रिवाइज भी कर लें और लिख लें. लिखें, सिट डाउन एंड कंप्लीट योर नोट्स. वट एवर आई टीच इन द क्लास अपार्ट फ्रॉम द हैंड आउट्स, वो सब मिलकर आपको वो कंप्लीट करेगा. अब जो मैं पढ़ाने जा रहा हूँ, वट आई एम गोइंग टू टीच शुड नॉट बी टॉट, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमने देखा है कभी कभी एग्जामिनर जो है डज नॉट रिस्पेक्ट द मैंडेट ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशन. सो वो थोड़ा गड़बड़ है. सो एटमोस्फियर इज अ फ्लूइड, एवरीवन. डोंट, ये रफ वर्क है, जो भी कर रहा हूँ रफ वर्क है. सम meteorological explanations. आपको ज्यादा कुछ नहीं करना है. यू मस्ट नो द वर्ड barotropic, baroclinic, frontogenesis. ये वर्ड आपको पता होने चाहिए. आई एम जस्ट लुकिंग एट दीज वर्ड्स एंड व्हेन आई से frontogenesis को आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट दैट in terms of divergence and deformation. Peterson 2D model. ये तीन चीजें आपको पता होनी चाहिए. You don't have to bother about what is the explanation, but ये words आपको पता होने चाहिए. Frontogenesis क्या होता है, baroclinic, barotropic. Terms must be understood. ठीक है. So don't worry about this, whatever I'm going to talk about. ऐसा नहीं कि आपसे पूछेगा, but examiner of late I have seen, like to play with this thing, our student, उसका कॉन्फिडेंस हिलाने के लिए वो क्या करता है, वोकैबुलरी डाल देता है. रिमेंबर हेल्डन हैंग, रिमेंबर बास्केट ऑफ एग टोपोग्राफी, क्रायोप्लेनेशन. क्रायो मीन्स आइस, और आइस से जो प्लेन बनेगा क्रायोप्लेन बनेगा. सो वो उस तरह से खेल रहा है. सो ही कैन यूज द वर्ड बैरोट्रोपिक, ही कैन यूज द वर्ड बैरोक्लिनिक, ही कैन यूज frontogenesis. What is frontogenesis? What is frontogenesis for a geographer? Frontogenesis is two contrasting air masses coming together, and then forming a transition zone. That's very good. But इसमें क्या है, इसमें आइसोथर्म है. ये आइसोथर्म करने लगता है, मीटेरोलॉजी है. तो हमें थोड़ा सा आइसोथर्म आ जाएगा एंड एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन आ जाएगा. ठीक है. सो यू डन अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स विद मी. आपने मेरे साथ जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी भी किया है, टफ जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी. हैव आई मेड इट इजी और नॉट? यस, आई एम गोइंग टू मेक दीज थिंग्स इजी. आई जस्ट वांट यू टू बी कॉन्फिडेंट कि डरना नहीं. ठीक है. वर्ड्स है, आएंगे. एंड इफ अ टीचर वांट्स टू इम्प्रेस द स्टूडेंट, इफ अ टीचर वांट्स टू टेरराइज द स्टूडेंट एंड से मेरी कोचिंग ज्वाइन करो, तो वो ऐसी बातें करेगा, वो पहले ऐसी बातें करेगा. आई एम डूइंग इट टुवर्ड्स द एंड. व्हेन माय स्टूडेंट इज कॉन्फिडेंट, उसे पता है साइक्लोन कैसे बनता है, सब कुछ है, तब मैं वो कर रहा हूँ. सो माई इंटेंशन इज नॉट टू लीव देम, बट एट द सेम टाइम टेक अवे द फियर फ्रॉम दैट. डिड आई टॉक अबाउट हेल्डनहैंग एंड बॉशेस स्टील वॉन्ड? सब तो समझ आया, कोई टेंशन नहीं. तो इसको हम देखने वाले. सो क्यों है ये भी बताऊं, क्यों है ये भी बताऊं. इमेजिन दिस इज एन एटमोस्फेयर. Atmosphere column. So air is a fluid. Air is a fluid. Yes or no? Air is a fluid. Now, if the pressure at the surface is 1013, है ना? If the pressure is 1000 millibar, as I go up, what will happen to the pressure? As I go up, what will happen to the pressure? As I rise, what will happen to the pressure? Pressure will reduce. Okay, very good. So can I say the pressure will become 900 millibar here? Can I say it will become 800 millibar here? Can I say it will become 700 millibar here? Can I say 600 millibar here? Can I say 500 millibar here? Can I say 50% has happened? And did I tell you around 5.6 kilometer की height पर only 50% of the gases are left? Remember, yes or no? So this is my atmosphere, and with height, what is happening? My pressure is reducing. So I take these observations and I plot them on a graph. What will this line be called as, everyone? What will this line be called as? What will this line be called as? This is an imaginary line in the atmosphere. So these are isobars. Very good. These are isobars. You know, in an aeroplane, how do they find out their height? They don't say that we are flying at this height. They say we are flying at 500 millibar pressure. So there, that is called altimeter. So altimeter क्या है? वो pressure is equivalent to height. Everyone, can you see pressure can signify height also? So when two planes are flying, वो क्या बोलेगा कि मैं किस पर चल रहा हूं? मैं 500 मिलीबार पे चल रहा हूं, और आप किस पर चल रहे हो? आप 700 मिलीबार पे चल रहे हो. दैट मीन्स 700 मिलीबार वाला आप नीचे चल रहे हो, मैं ऊपर चल रहा हूं. Do we get that? So instead of actually measuring the height from the ground, they measure the pressure. Easy. These are general knowledge things. General knowledge things. General knowledge things. Now, do you see that these isobars are parallel? Because as we go in the atmosphere, uniformly, we will find that everywhere the pressure is decreasing. Yes? So mostly it will be like that. Ajay, tell me one more thing. If the temperature here, if the temperature on the ground is, if the temperature on the ground is 40 degrees Celsius, what will happen to the temperature as I go up? What will happen to the temperature as I go up? So it will fall. It will fall at what rate? At what rate? So 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Okay, let's make it बच्चों, let's make it 6 degrees Celsius per kilometer, and this is 1 kilometer each, approximately 5 kilometer है, 5 मान के चलते, 1 2 3 4 5. So let's assume that this is 5 kilometer. So यहाँ पर कितना होगा? Tell me what will be T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. जल्दी से बताइए मुझे टेम्परेचर क्या होगा. जल्दी से वैल्यू बताइए. P1, P2, P0. सर सब्ट्रैक्ट ही तो करना है. यस, 40 है, 34 हो जाएगा सर, 28 हो जाएगा, 22, 16, 10 degrees Celsius. Yes or no? And this will happen uniformly everywhere. So can I say I can draw these lines also, these dotted lines. What will you call these dotted lines? What will you call these dotted lines? Sir, isotherms. Very good. Isobars and isotherms. Isobars and isotherm. Get that? So everyone, I'm so happy मैं बोर्ड पे सीधी लाइन खींच लेता हूँ यार. कई बार ऐसा लगता है such a big board, how will you draw that straight line? You people when you make your notes, no, when your straight line doesn't come, you start erasing. अपने को पता है यार यही करना है. Confidently थोड़ा टेढ़ा भी हुआ तो क्या दिक्कत है? So this is called barotropic conditions. Normal condition in fluids, isotherms are parallel to isobars. ये क्या हो गया? barotropic condition. Okay, everyone? Now, since at P3 level, everywhere the pressure is 700 millibar, will there be any wind flow? At P3 level, everywhere the pressure is what? 700 millibar. Will there be a tendency for the air to move or to stay stationary? Stationary. Sir, no tendency. Why no? So because there is no force, no. Everywhere the pressure is same. So what is that force called? So pressure gradient force. So can I say there is no pressure gradient force, so there is no horizontal wind? Is everyone okay? Are you with me? PGF is sir 0. So no gradient, no pressure gradient is there. Very good. You are smart people. Absolutely correct. तुम लोग सारा meteorology भी समझ रहे हो. अच्छा, tell me one thing. There is a place in Indian Ocean which is very hot. Yes, and other place is cold. Remember, because of thermal differences, tropical depressions are created. So can I say temperature can also cause the air to expand and cool? Yes, and because of that expansion and cooling, the air's volume and pressure will change, and the air can move because of temperature difference also. Do you agree? हमने कहाँ पे देखा था? Tropical cyclone में. Areas of warm patch, remember 26 degree, if you reach there, what will happen? It's a low pressure. True. Now tell me, at P3 you told me there are no winds because there is no pressure gradient force. Will there be any thermal winds at T3? Will there be any temperature generated winds at T3? T3 level की बात करो. T3 level. P पे तो you told me sir because pressure is same, no change, so no pressure gradient sir. Tell me any thermal reason for the winds to move at T3? Yes or no? Common sense लगानी, nothing, no catch in this. ये मत सोचो सचिन सर हमको फंसा रहे. Is there any thermal gradient over here that the wind has to move because there is a temperature difference? Is there any thermal gradient at level T3? सब लोग yes लिख रहे हैं. अबे थर्मल ग्रेडियंट का मतलब टेम्परेचर में डिफरेंस. सब जगह तो T3 है. एवरीवेयर इट इज 22 डिग्री सेल्सियस ना. So why would the air move because of temperature difference? Is there any temperature difference at that altitude? Yes लिख रहा है. No thermal gradient. So can I say there will be no pressure generated wind at P3 level? There will be no temperature generated wind at T3 level because the pressure and temperature remain same, no thermal gradient, no pressure gradient. Is everyone with me on this? Normal condition of fluids. And when we are saying normal condition, fluid means water, air. So atmosphere is normally what? Atmosphere is normally barotropic. Atmosphere is normally barotropic. Everyone okay? Barotropic means no thermal wind, no pressure gradient, and isotherms are parallel with isobars. Now, I have a disturbed condition. Sir, what is a disturbed condition? थोड़ा सा normal से मैंने हिला डाला. Now, my condition is like this, that my pressure is 1000 millibar. My pressure is 1000 millibar. And with altitude P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. What are these? 900, 800, 700, 600, 500. Okay. Now tell me any pressure gradient wind at P3. Any pressure gradient wind at P3. Any pressure gradient wind at P3. Everyone? No, sir. Same. Absolutely okay. But what happens in the atmosphere is sometimes the air parcel or the air mass develops a change in its heating. And your isotherms, they bend. T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. So how is it possible? Well, it happens. हम गया thermometer में हमने देखा वो है. So now tell me what is the temperature at this point? At this point the temperature is T4. At this point the temperature is T3. At this point the temperature is T3. At this point the temperature is at T4 and either temperature is at T5. And what is T5? 10 degrees Celsius, 16 degrees Celsius, 22 degrees Celsius, 28 degrees Celsius, 34. अब मुझे बताइए एवरीवन at P3 level pressure gradient wind is equal to 0. But can you see at P3 level I have 3 different temperatures. एक जगह पर 22 डिग्री सेल्सियस है, फिर 16 डिग्री सेल्सियस एंड फिर 10 डिग्री सेल्सियस. Will the wind have a tendency to move? Yes, sir, it will move from east to west. Well, this is colder air is heavy and this is lighter air. Definitely ऐसे move तो कर सकती कि नहीं कर सकती. So this is a disturbed condition. Disturbed condition of atmosphere. Isotherms cut across. Isotherms cut across isobars and may create thermal winds. अब ये ज्योग्राफी क्लासेस में नहीं पढ़ाया जाता है, ना पढ़ाना होता है. मैंने पढ़ा दिया है. बताओ डिफिकल्ट था या नहीं था? बैरोट्रोपिक और बैरोक्लिनिक. बैरोट्रोपिक और बैरोक्लिनिक. So atmosphere can be barotropic, atmosphere can be baroclinic. Now tell me, is this geography or is this pure science? ये तो meteorology हो गया. True or not? We are geographers or meteorologists? We are geographers. But पढ़ लिया आपने ये. और मैं क्यों करवा रहा हूँ? बिकॉज मैं तो ट्रेन मीटेरोलॉजिस्ट हूँ, मतलब शिप्स पे तो हमें मीटेरोलॉजी की ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन दिस. अभी आप भी समझ पाए या नहीं समझ पाए? नाउ द बिग क्वेश्चन इज, सचिन सर वी अंडरस्टूड इट, ये सिंपल था, इतना कोई डिफिकल्ट नहीं है, बट व्हाई डिड यू टेल अस? व्हाई डिड यू टेल अस? ये बताया क्यों आपने? ठीक है. सो आई टोल्ड यू बिकॉज there was something missing in the polar front theory. What was missing is this bend, deformation और kink. ये क्यों बनता है? Get that? Bend, deformation, kink. Why does it happen? Why is it, everyone? And you'll really appreciate this thing कि आज मैं आपको काफी साइंटिफिक लेके गया हूं. जी कहाँ हो? ये जो मजे से सीधा चला जा रहा था, ये बेंड आया क्यों? Why did this bend come? This polar front theory does not explain. Polar front theory simply says that there is a straight stationary front, it bends and a wave is created and wave becomes like this. और उसमें क्या होता है कि यहाँ पर एक लो प्रेशर क्रिएट हो जाता है. कहाँ गया हमारा? कितना तो बनाया था यार. हेलो, अच्छा इधर नहीं है, उस पर है, सॉरी. हाँ जी, ये जो बेंड है, व्हाई इज दिस बेंड क्रिएटेड? इसमें है ही नहीं. ये अभी तक तो सीधा था, ये क्यों बना? So meteorologists were studying this. The Norwegian theory does not talk of it. Norwegian just says that there is a bend. When they inspected it, they found that normally the atmosphere is barotropic. But here what happens? Atmosphere turns baroclinal. It is not uniformly heated with altitude. Some places have high, some places have low temperature, and as a result this deformation happens. Deformation हो जाएगा. So deformation में अभी क्या है? अभी तो stationary front है, but because of this deformation what will happen? This one will be forced down and ये ऊपर जाएगा. Deformation will lead to frontogenesis, birth of cyclone. How many of you understood? Temperate cyclone क्यों पैदा होगा? सब नॉर्मल है, सब चंगा सी. Suddenly what happens? Somebody will come and push that thing. Who will push that? In the upper atmosphere, if the heating is not uniform at the same level, if we get 2-3 different temperatures, that is the area where baroclinity has happened, and as a result वो थोड़ा bend हो जाएगा. So imagine you have a rubber band and you pull that rubber band. So have you added some potential energy to that or not? And you release it will come back. So जब मैंने उसे pull किया तो अब मेरे पास दो front बन गए. So can I say Can I say the deformation of the stationary front, which is produced due to baroclinity, will create a kink and frontogenesis will begin. अब ये उन्होंने नहीं किया था, नॉर्वेजियन स्कूल डिड नॉट, बट लेटर ऑन रिमेंबर मेट्रोलॉजिस्ट दे डिड इट. तो ऐसा है. जिन लोगों को मुश्किल लगा हो, सॉरी, मैंने सिर्फ बहुत ही सिंपल सी बात आपको बताई. फर्स्ट मजे से मैं खेला बैरोट्रोपिक, बैरोक्लिनिक, and then I just told you that kink, that bending, that deformation happens because of baroclinity, और baroclinity की वजह से क्या होता है? Frontogenesis. Is everyone okay? Frontogenesis. And what is a temperate cyclone all about? Frontogenesis to frontolysis. So everyone, did you understand the meteorological reason behind frontogenesis? यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया? सो आई एम सॉरी, मैं थोड़ा सा बताया ये. अगर आप ये सब नहीं भी बनाओगे उधर, सीधा यूज करना बैरोक्लिनिटी. और ये जो थ्योरी है, दिस थ्योरी स्टिल अभी ज्यादा प्रूव्ड नहीं है, इसलिए इस पे ज्यादा दम नहीं दे रहा हूं. इसी थ्योरी को यूज किया है इस मॉडल ने, Shapiro-Kaiser cyclone evolution model. The Norwegian cyclone model has a primary conceptual model. It's a primary model for the structure of those cyclones. Shapiro-Kaiser developed a new life cycle model as representative of marine cyclones and based it on the results of idealized developing baroclinic wave simulation. अगर ये आ गया तो घबराना नहीं है, आपको ये बता दिया. The life model of this thing, the 4 stages of SK cyclone models are these. तो यहां पर भी bend आएगा. You can see the bend will created and that is going to be there. Everyone with me on this? This is still a theoretical one. This is still a theoretical one. That is why I have talked about it. यहां तक everyone with me या geography optional छोड़ने का मन हो रहा है? अब छोड़ देता हूं सर, बहुत हो गया, अब नहीं कर पाऊंगा. इनफ इज इनफ. आई रियली थॉट दिस इज अ जेंटलमैनली सब्जेक्ट, इसमें तो कुछ भी करवा रहा है. आई ऑल्सो थॉट दैट दिस इज एब्सोल्युटली जेंटलमैनली. Done? Okay. Now we're talking about frontogenesis. What is frontogenesis? Cold air, warm air, they come in contact with each other. What happens? Cold air, being heavier, has a tendency to stay close to the ground. Yes? And the warm air is forced to rise up. Yes? This is warm. This is cold. Cold air comes into this. And what do we have? We have those transitional properties. What front is this? Cold front. Easy. तो हम बता चुके हैं, this is how a cold front comes. So a transitional zone is created, that is there. Now there is a problem. In meteorology, they will not see them as the diagram which I have shown you. They would want to see them as what? They would want to see them as isotherms. 20 degrees, remember ये हमने किया था ना, this was 30 degrees, this was 10 degrees और ये क्या है 20 degrees. They will treat this as 20 degrees. This isotherm is 10 degrees. This isotherm is 30 degrees. There is a push happening over here, and as a result, what is happening? 20 is here, 10 has come here, and 30 has come here. So what is happening? Compression is happening. So what is happening here? Frontogenesis. ये क्या हो गया? Convergence of isobars. Convergence of isobars. और अगर इसी में मेरे पास यही होता, if this was, say for example, 20 degrees Celsius, this time what happened? This is what? Frontolysis. Everyone with me on this? एक में क्या हो रहा है? Convergence हो रहा है, एक में क्या हो रहा है? Divergence हो रहा है. True? Frontolysis is divergence और इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Convergence. What are these? Isotherms. Isotherms. And in this, what is happening? Two air masses. Cold air is with me on this? Cold air and warm air. And what will this be called as? अभी मैं सब चीज आपका कचरा करता जा रहा हूं, सब लोग अभी घबरा जाएंगे. This is the axis of dilation. So frontolysis is happening, frontogenesis is happening, and it is about what is happening to the isotherms with respect to axis of dilation. If the isotherms are parallel to the axis of dilation and they are coming closer, then they are coming closer, that's also frontogenesis, and when they are going away, it is frontolysis. ठीक है? ये normal condition. This is normal. So everyone, how many of you understand this divergence and convergence? Frontolysis, Peterson said that, you know, axis of dilation में पास आ रहे हैं, दूर जा रहे हैं, frontolysis, and this thing happens. And in this normal condition, what is it? Isotherms are parallel to axis of dilation. तो एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन समझ में नहीं आया। उस एक्सिस को, दैट एक्सिस इज कॉल्ड एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन, दैट एक्सिस इज कॉल्ड द एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन। इज एवरीवन ओके? जिस पर वो फ्लूइड पड़ा हुआ है। Axis of dilation, it refers to the line along which, I would want you to write down this definition. Axis of dilation refers to a line along which deformation of airflow is causing the maximum stretching of air parcels. So the air parcels are there, and remember they are forming the front, forming the front. So maximum stretching is happening along that line. That is called axis of dilation. Isotherms you already know, and the air parcels, they are coming here, and maximum stretching along which line? This is the line where cold and this thing, and stretching can be both. Stretching can be, they can be compacting and they can be going away, but maximum stretch along that line is the line of dilation, axial और एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन। इज एवरीवन ओके? ये बताइए, ये समझ में आया या नहीं आया? यहां तक का क्यों कर रहे हैं वो भी बता दूंगा, बट फर्स्ट लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड दिस, दैट व्हाट इज एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन। In simple terms, it is the line along which the air parcels will come and either press on each other or go away from each other. Maximum stretching hoga. That is an axis of dilation. And I have made the air masses also for you. Cold air, warm air coming together. And along axis of dilation, in this particular examination, in this particular example, frontogenesis is happening. Stretch of that front is there, and frontolysis can also happen. ठीक है? नाउ ये कौन देखता है? दिस इज अ जोग्राफर्स डायग्राम। कितना अच्छा डायग्राम बनाता है ये। सबको समझ में आता है कि नहीं आता है? यार ऐसे बनते फ्रंट, जोग्राफर ऐसे ही बनाता है, लेकिन मीटेरोलॉजिस्ट ऐसे डायग्राम नहीं बनाता है। मीटेरोलॉजिस्ट ऐसा डायग्राम नहीं बनाता है। वो क्या बनाता है? लेट मी मेक यू मीटेरोलॉजिस्ट डायग्राम। meteorologist understanding of frontogenesis and frontolysis। मीटेरोलॉजिस्ट कैसे देखता है? मतलब व्हाट इज इट दैट दे आर लुकिंग एट? ठीक है, ये देखता है एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन में, पहले बनाता है एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन। This is what Axis of dilation. Axis of dilation. With me on this? Ab. Next he makes, what does he make is isotherms. Axis of dilation बनाएगा और isotherm बना लेगा. How does he make isotherms? He measures from thermometer. And are isotherms always horizontal, or sometime do they tilt? Do the isotherms tilt also, everyone? Isotherms, can they tilt? They can tilt. So he looks at them. Normal condition, they are parallel. But when they start tilting, something will happen. And isotherms again. T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. सर ये हम क्यों कर रहे हैं? कुछ नहीं, we are just seeing that how does a meteorologist see frontogenesis or frontolysis. Angle between isotherm and axis of dilation tells whether it is frontogenesis or frontolysis. Frontolysis, if angle is greater than 45 degrees. Frontogenesis, if angle less than 45 degrees. तो आपको एंगल मेजर करना होता है. इफ द एंगल इज लेस देन 45 degrees, then it is frontogenesis. And if the angle is more than 45 degrees, then it is frontolysis. ऐसे मेटेरोलॉजिस्ट देखता है. नॉर्मली इन द बैरोट्रोपिक कंडीशन, तो आपने देखा बैरोट्रोपिक में तो ये ऐसे ही रहता है. बैरोट्रोपिक में एब्सोल्यूट पैरेलल. Then it starts tilting, then it starts changing. Yes or no? And the temperature, thermal gradient will come. If the thermal gradient is like this, less than 45 degrees, then that means frontogenesis. And if it is more than 45 degrees, that means frontolysis. Is everyone with me on this? You've already been tortured by this when I taught you Koppen and Thorndike. Yes or no? So are you happy that you have geography as your optional, not meteorology? जोग्राफर कितना अच्छा होता है. जोग्राफर भगवान का बंदा होता है. वो कहता है ऐसे बनता है फ्रंटोजेनेसिस. व्हेन टू एयर मासेस कम टुगेदर, ये कोल्ड वाला जा रहा है, एंड दिस इज कॉल्ड अ कोल्ड फ्रंट. कितना सिंपल है. एंड व्हेन दे आर कमिंग क्लोजर, इट इज frontogenesis. और भाई साहब ये क्या करेगा, ये पहले एटमॉस्फेयर में जाएगा, टेम्परेचर मेजर करेगा, प्रेशर मेजर करेगा, एवरीथिंग, देन ही नोज ओके हाउ आर द आइसोथर्म्स अलाइंड, हाउ आर द आइसोबार्स अलाइंड, एंड देन ही विल सी हाउ आर द एयर पार्सल्स व्हेन दे आर देयर, where which line they will produce the maximum stretching, that line will be called as their axis of dilation. And when that axis of dilation is identified, then he will measure the angle between axis of dilation and the isotherm, and if that angle happens to be less than 45, that is frontogenesis, and if it is more than 45 it is frontolysis. सब लोग ठीक है? Now tell me, how many of you can write an answer to this question? The evolution or a temperate cyclone can be explained in terms of frontogenesis, journey from frontogenesis to frontolysis. Elucidate. 10 marks. कर सकते हैं? Forget whatever I told you. Forget whatever meteorology I told you. For 10 marks, can you explain to me that temperate cyclone can be explained in terms of a journey from frontogenesis to frontolysis? कर सकते हैं? Can you do that? First, the air is stationary, then it starts coming, it gets a bend, the bend becomes deeper, and then, like the cold front catches faster, occlusion begins, completely occluded, and in the end, the temperature contrast is lost, the warm air is completely lifted off, frontolysis happened. So, as a result, these 6 stages, that is there. Easy. Ye question, this is a geographer's question. This is a geographer's question. But in year 2024, UPSC broke the rules and they asked us a meteorologist's question. 2024 में यूपीएससी ने बदतमीजी कर दी अभी इस साल, एंड द क्वेश्चन इज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ टेम्परेट साइक्लोन डिपेंड्स ऑन द depends on the condition of axis of dilation. Elucidate. Full on बदतमीजी or not? Full on बदतमीजी or not? कोई मतलब नहीं है पूछने का, बट पूछा है. True. And this is just playing with vocabulary, because conditions of axis of dilation are actually two conditions. Angle less than 45 degrees is frontogenesis. Angle more than 45 degrees isotherm के साथ frontolysis. lysis. Tell me, aren't both the questions same? Aren't both the questions same? A temperate cyclone can be explained in terms of frontolysis, frontogenesis to frontolysis. Formation of a temperate cyclone depends upon frontogenesis to frontolysis. But vocabulary में क्या खेल दिया? Axis of dilation. And shamelessly institute said हमने पढ़ा के भी भेजा था. सुनो, पहली बात तो इतना मीटरोलॉजी किसी ने नहीं पढ़ाया. मीटरोलॉजिस्ट तो ट्रेनर नहीं है यहाँ पर. मोस्ट ऑफ द टीचर्स आर ज्योग्राफी में, किसी डिस्टेंस लर्निंग से उन्होंने ज्योग्राफी में पढ़ा होगा, अगर पढ़ा भी है, बुक से पढ़ा है तो. गेट दैट? ये तो मैं प्योर मीटरोलॉजी की बात कर रहा हूँ, प्योर मीटरोलॉजी. बट हाँ, पीपल हु हैव लुक्ड एट डिक्शनरी, द टीचर हैज इंसिस्टेड कि अपनी वोकेबलरी सही रखो, बैरोक्लिनिटी आना चाहिए, एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन आना चाहिए, वो आंसर कर जाएगा. बिकॉज द क्वेश्चन वाज नथिंग फ्रंटोजेनेसिस एंड फ्रंटोलिसिस. अरे यार सिंपल बोल रहा था, स्लोप रिप्लेसमेंट फ्रॉम स्टीप स्लोप टू जेंटल स्लोप को क्या पूछा? एक्सप्लेन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ हेल्डनहैंग एंड सॉरी बॉश एंड हेल्डनहैंग. सेम थिंग, बस वोकैबुलरी चेंज किया एंड फुल ऑन नौटंकी. दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल इज यूपीएससी आजकल दीज डेज. ट्रू. सो दिस इज द लेटेस्ट. और क्या क्वेश्चन दिया? और अभी 2024 का एक और क्वेश्चन दिया. See, many people faltered on this also. 2024 का क्वेश्चन है, describe latitudinal distribution of Köppen's classification of world climate. क्वेश्चन 2024. अबे पहला तो क्वेश्चन ही कर दिया, डिस्क्राइब. डिस्क्राइब इज वेरी वेरी इजी. डिस्क्राइब मीन्स जस्ट शो. वर्ल्ड लैटिट्यूडनल में दिखाना है. लैटिट्यूडनल में दिखाने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका तो मैंने ही आपको बता रखा है. ये हो गया. ए, यस, दिस इज होल थिंग इज ए, बिकॉज ट्रॉपिकल है, मेगाथर्म. फिर उसके बाद क्या आएगा? यहाँ पर बी आ जाता है, रिमेंबर, बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट लैटिट्यूडनल, दिस इज वो है. उसके बाद क्या है? दीज आर मीसोथर्म. बी के बाद सी आ जाएगा. सी, डी, ई, एफ. ये तो करना था. मेनी स्टूडेंट्स कोचिंग के नोट्स पढ़ के गया, रट के गया, कोड पढ़ के गया. 2024 में क्वेश्चन आता है डिस्क्राइब लैटिट्यूडनल. आप बोलिए ना यार, टेम्परेचर से थर्मल correspondence of vegetation types. Megatherm is a vegetation, mesotherm, microtherm, हेकिस्टोथर्म. यही तो आएगा. लैटिट्यूड पे पूछा है सर, इसमें बी लिखने की जरूरत. ज़ेरोफाइट. ज़ेरोफाइट इज नॉट कनेक्टेड टू लैटिट्यूड. इजंट इट कनेक्टेड टू लॉन्गिट्यूड? यू आर ऑन द वेस्टर्न मार्जिन. ट्रू. बट आप अपना बॉक्स बनाइए, पूरा एक्सप्लेन करिए. डिस्क्राइब करना था, सिर्फ डिस्क्राइब करना था. पीपल सेड सर ये तो पता ही नहीं था. अरे पहले दिन ऐसे पढ़ाते हैं यार. ये आंसर था. दिस वाज सच अ गुड क्वेश्चन. आंसर करना है. बट हाँ, यूपीएससी ऐसा नहीं समझा कि नन्ना मुन्ना बच्चा वो है. ठीक है, एक और क्वेश्चन बताता हूँ, फुल क्वेश्चन. दिस क्वेश्चन सेज एक्सप्लेन एयर मासेस एंड एसोसिएटेड वेदर डायनामिक्स. एक्सप्लेन एयर मासेस. 2024 का क्वेश्चन, दिस ईयर इटसेल्फ, जो सब पढ़ा दिया है. ऑल दीज ईयर्स आई हैव बीन टीचिंग दिस. एक्सप्लेन एयर मासेस and associated weather dynamics. How do air masses influence the weather conditions of northern hemisphere? नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर में एयर मासेस कैसे कंडीशंस को इन्फ्लुएंस करेंगे? वी ऑलरेडी लुक्ड एट. सीपी क्या करेगा, एमपी क्या करेगा, सीटी क्या करेगा, एमटी क्या करेगा. डायग्राम बनाओ. मूविंग आउट ऑफ दिस थिंग, हाउ दे आर गोइंग टू डू दैट. और अभी आपने देखा एक और चीज है, दे कैन प्रोड्यूस टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. दे आर इंपॉर्टेंट. दिस टेम्परेट साइक्लोन विल हेल्प इन हीट एक्सचेंज. जॉब डन और नॉट? Now people say that, question will come from our notes. Now you tell me, if you have read geography from school days की बता रहा हूँ, did you read geography as something about soils? School में पढ़ा soil. What are soils and soil erosion? People who are preparing for UPSC have read NCRT. If you read NCRT, did you read soil and soil erosion? Yes or no? Now these optional coaching वालास, they say हमारे note से आएगा. And moment the question comes, they say हमारे note से आया. So let me read out this question to you. Soil erosion is creeping death. Soil erosion is creeping death. Let me give you the Hindi of it. मृदा अपरतन रेंगती हुई मौत है. अब बताओ किसने बताया ये? एनी बुक, एनी टीचर हु कैन डू दिस. वो तो सॉइल इरोजन ही बताएगा कि नहीं बताएगा. नाउ दे आर सेइंग सॉइल इरोजन इज क्रीपिंग डेथ, एक्सप्लेन द स्टेटमेंट. रिमेंबर स्कूल में होता था, explain the statement, what does the author want to say, what does the poet mean by this line, a quotable quote is given. So these people who are selling ready-made stuff and playing with the careers of so many people, not telling them brainstorming, because brainstorming will free the student. brainstorming करेगा तभी तो आंसर आएगा कि नहीं. soil erosion is degradation is death. क्या बता रहा है वो? creeping death. और हिंदी में बोल रहा है रेंगती हुई मौत है. So creeping motion means slow, just like slow poison. So the person will start thinking of it, brainstorming. That's what I'm saying. But my job at the same time, apart from brainstorming, when I'm in paper one, I'm also telling you about to be very, very clear about vocabulary. Have I helped you with some meteorology also? Please do not worry about it. आपको सिर्फ ये vocabulary आनी चाहिए थी. और इसमें कुछ मोड आ जाते हैं, उन मोड को क्या कहते हैं? डिफॉर्मेशंस. डाइवर्जेंस, deformation when the bend comes. If you did not understand too much in this, don't have to worry. Did you understand normally it is barotropic? Sometimes barocliny happens. When barocliny happens, at the same level different temperatures are there. Because of thermal gradient, some winds are created. Those winds are called thermal winds. They will cause bending. Bending will be caused. And for a geographer, this is what frontogenesis is. For a climatologist, for a meteorologist, he looks at it as, first he will look at the air parcels, then he will look at that line along which deformation of airflow is causing maximum stretching. So air is coming from multiple directions. So he will take average out those things and he will say maximum कहाँ से कहाँ air आती हुई मुझे दिख रही है. That is the average flow of the air. So you will see, okay, this must be the axis of where front will form. That is called the dilation axis of dilation. But whether front will form or dissolve, that will be decided by this thing. Because why the difference is there, everyone? This fellow, geographer's job is to explain how things happened. Okay? और explain नहीं भी करेगा तो just explain what was happening in the process. Meteorologist का काम, is his job to explain how or is his job to predict? उसको तो predict करना है ना? Yes or no? So he has to predict that 2 days from now in Britain, what will be the climate? So every day on a supercomputer, he is monitoring the isotherms. And he has also identified the axis of dilation. If he sees that the angle is increasing, then what will he predict? He will predict that, okay, don't worry, the fronts are going to dissolve. But if he sees that the angle is reducing, he will say, okay, 2 days from now, the angle will go below 45 degrees, then a front will form. उसका काम चैलेंजिंग है भाई. अपना तो लेजी लोग हैं. बना बनाया चीज फोटो बना के दिखा दो, हाँ ऐसा आया, देखो कोल्ड आया, वार्म आया, आपस में टकराया, ये ऊपर गया, बादल बना. So depending on their nature. So UPSC took the liberty of asking us questions in a meteorologist language in a geography paper. I remember I had one of the optionals, public administration. So I wrote the exam, and in that examination, so there is this person, Max Weber. Max Weber is the father of their idea of bureaucracy and the bureaucratic model of administration. So Weber was a German. So they gave us a statement on Weber and asked us to explain or analyze that statement, and that statement was in German only. अब भाई अंग्रेजी तो दे दे. Why am I supposed to understand German? So German वाला समझ के English में उसका वो तो. They use proper German terms. जैसे Haldenhang and Bosch किया, that's how they are doing. So this time they took the liberty of asking us a geography question, but in the language of a meteorologist, that temperate cyclone depends on condition of axis of dilation, and you have to, you know, the axis of dilation is simple. This thing, its condition will be relative to the isotherms. So if the isotherms are cutting less than 45 degrees, then they are frontogenesis. More than 45 degrees, frontolysis. So temperate cyclone is actually finding out the journey from this to this, and in between what will happen? Isotherm angle will change. Get that? So this was from my side. I know वो क्या था वो topic, अपना इनका बेंडिंग है ना, इंडेक्स साइकिल ऑफ जेट स्ट्रीम्स कराएंगे, फिर से करा देंगे. लेट मी स्टार्ट ओशनोग्राफी नाउ. कहाँ पे करेंगे ये जेट स्ट्रीम्स? एक बार जब मैं इंडियन ज्योग्राफी कर रहा हूँ, इंडियन मानसून, देन आई विल टेल यू अबाउट दैट. सो टुमारो वी आर स्टार्टिंग विद ओशनोग्राफी. गेट दैट? सो थैंक्स अ लॉट. प्लीज डाइजेस्ट. आई हैव गिवन यू लॉट ऑफ जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी एंड क्लाइमेटोलॉजी. ये आपके पास अभी भी है, एंड आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग यू टू प्लीज गो थ्रू देम. जितने भी क्वेश्चन सब के साथ खेलो यार, जो देखना है देखो, एंड टेल मी अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम होगी. सो वी विल बी लुकिंग एट दैट. किसी ने कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा था, व्हाट इज पोलर फ्रंट. इस बार पूछा व्हाट आर एयर मासेस, हाउ डू दे इम्पैक्ट द क्लाइमेट ऑफ द नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर. इधर पूछ रहा व्हाट इज अ फ्रंट, हाउ डज साइक्लोन डेवलप अलोंग द फ्रंट. नाउ यू नो व्हाट इज अ पोलर फ्रंट, हाउ डज इट डेवलप, डिस्क्राइब द वेदर कंडीशंस एसोसिएटेड विद इट. आगे में क्या है? आगे में वार्म फ्रंट, पीछे कोल्ड फ्रंट, दोनों का वेदर आ जाएगा. कंपेयर एंड कॉन्ट्रास्ट ट्रॉपिकल एंड टेम्परेट साइक्लोन. हैव वी डन दैट? Compare the origin of weather conditions associated with tropical and temperate cyclone. So tropical cyclone की तो preconditions हो गई. Temperate cyclone में अगर आपको examiner को impress करना है, आप बोलो वहाँ पे baroclini होती है. A kink is formed, baroclinity is there, and the axis of dilation has isotherms cutting less than 45. हिल जाएगा वो भी, क्या टेंशन है. राइट. जोग्राफिकल नोट ऑन हेलोवीन स्टॉर्म. सर ये क्या होता है? अरे हेलोवीन के सीजन में स्टॉर्म आ गया, जबरदस्ती का क्वेश्चन, ये कभी कभी ऐसा भी आ जाता है. ये होमवर्क करो. हेलोवीन स्टॉर्म क्या होता है, गूगल से देखो, एंड दे डू सेंड अस सम बाउंसर्स. मैंने कहा ना, सिर्फ वोकैबुलरी पे खेल रहा है. इसमें हेलोवीन स्टॉर्म किया और अभी क्या किया? एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन. दैट इज व्हाई आई एम सेइंग वी नीड टू बी अवेयर अबाउट द लैंग्वेज. गेट दैट? प्लीज गो थ्रू दैट, ब्रिंग योर डाउट्स. So next class we'll be starting with oceanography. This week, remaining week, we'll go into oceanography, maybe 1 or 2 classes in the next week also. And then, as I told you, I'll be going rigorous with Indian geography and a lot of prelim stuff also coming in. People who are in geography optional, you need not sit for GS classes over there. Time bachao, focus karo. And that's it from my side. Thanks a lot. Jai Hind.